QueryMe is a fast way to create data engineering workflows. I will walk you through some QueryMe basics, like creating an analysis based on a SQL query, and then we'll go on to using some Jinja, messaging, and API blocks to create an alerting mechanism. So here we are in a QueryMe document, and as you can see, it has rich text elements, but also a chart and a SQL query. So you're basically in a regular document, but you're just not limited to only using text. So let's start out by creating a SQL block. And as you'll see, these SQL blocks are probably already more powerful than the SQL IDEs that you're used to. I'm just going to run a quick query, and you will see that they, for example, have a results history for every block. You have a data browser, auto-completion, find replace, and much more. Like this visualization button that auto-creates a chart for you. And we can edit this, of course, and change the source to another query. I'm just going to make this into an area chart. And I think this already looks pretty cool. You can also immediately send these query results via email, so that makes distribution quite easy. But the true magic of these SQL blocks is that you can use Jinja in them. And you can't only use Jinja in the SQL blocks, you can actually use them anywhere in these documents. And that's really what makes QueryMe so powerful. So let me show you just a simple use case of using Jinja, and then we'll go on to do something more complex. So first of all, we could create a parameter here and just parameterize something in our query. And for that, we're gonna just use the parameter name here and exchange it for week. And then we're gonna wrap that in double curly brackets for Jinja. And now we have this parameter available here in our SQL query. And so I'm just gonna put in month. And this should now evaluate to month, and then that should change the whole query to monthly instead of weekly. And when we play that, it's gonna run the query, and it's also gonna update the chart down here. We could now go on to share this notebook via email in just a couple of clicks. We can schedule that to execute or send via email, for example, every Monday morning as a weekly report. And we could just share that and invite others, share it with the entire workspace, or make it public entirely. All right, so let's have a look at a more complex example. So here we are in a new notebook, and I've already pre-created a quick query. And let's say we were an e-commerce retailer and we want to be notified whenever there's bigger changes in our sales week over week. So what we're going to do is just iterate over the results here, and then we're going to check for the size of the change. And if the change is beyond a certain threshold, then we will send a Slack message, first of all. So I'm just going to write a for loop in which we iterate over the results of this query. Everything that is going to be inside this for loop, and all I've written here is for row in query 1. And so we'll have 3 iterations, and everything that happens inside here will be executed if we click action or if we schedule that. So what we want to do next is write an if condition and see if the change is big enough for us to write a Slack message. So what I've written here is just an if condition, and I'm referencing row, which is the variable that we started here in the for loop. I'm accessing the change column, then I'm calculating the absolute value, and I'm checking if it's bigger than 10. So basically, if our changes in sales are bigger than 10% compared to last week, we will send a Slack message. So let's create that. I'm going to paste my webhook URL into it, and I've pre-created a message as well. The message, if you look at this closely, once again reference this row using Jinja syntax. We access the category, right, which is this column, and then we're going to reference the change one more time. So basically we're sending out a message that says, hey, this category has a change bigger than 10%, and this is the exact number of the change. But I really want to make sure that everybody gets their message. So I'm also going to add an email block to this, and we'll send an email with the same message. And we will just send the same message as before in the subject and the body. So this looks pretty good. On top of this though, I think it'd be better if we didn't just send a Slack message and an email, we should also send a text message. So I've pre-created an API block. We're going to use the Twilio IPO to send a text message as well. And I'm sending the same message as before. And so what happens if we run that is that QueryMe detects the dependencies of each block, compiles them into an executable DAG, and then runs them in the right order. I'm just going to run that. And let's watch the channel here real quick for when that arrives. And here we have the messages coming in, just like we expected. And then we have some emails here. And you can also see maybe my text messages here. They just came in too. I hope this little example could illustrate how QueryMe lets you cover lots of use cases, from analysis to sophisticated data engineering workflow, all in a hassle-free collaborative environment. And if you want to learn more, please come check us out at query.me. And thank you very much for watching.